Welcome back to the channel. It's the next day. I said that I wasn't going to film this, but I've decided that I would. Today I'm going to sort out the cam sensor, so that's that P0340 code that you can see there. Not too worried about the other ones. The top one is ignition. That's because the standalone ECU runs the coils, so I haven't yet put in a cheat for the OEM ECU on that one, so that one I can ignore. P0340, that is one to keep an eye on, but I'm not worried about that. That's to do with the knock sensor. I'm running a Bosch sensor now, and although the signal is shared between ECUs, but this one, it doesn't really matter. The EMU Black is happy with that, so I'm fine by that. The P1111, that is to do with the cam advance, but I believe that's just to do with the fact that the cam sensor has been wigging out from time to time. And then the bottom one there is because something is unplugged, so I'll leave that one there. Won't tell you why it's unplugged. So going to change the cam sensors, or cam sensor, today, just so that you know. Bank 1 is the driver's side, so it's the one on this side of the engine, and the new sensor and old sensor looks like this. It's a straight one. The one on the passenger side is an angled one, and they're not interchangeable. They've got a different, although it's a very similar connector, the TPS, the lock, is in a different place, so you can't change them left to right. But the passenger side, or bank 2 cam sensor, is the same as the crank sensor, which is also on that side of the engine, so that is one interchangeable part. So this, it shouldn't take too long to do. I think I'm going to have to take out the throttle body just to make a bit of room to get in there, but it's just 110mm and getting the connector off. The connector is a good one. I replaced it when I did the sensor before. These are known for going, and I guess the symptoms of what to look out for on this is trouble starting. So for me, there's a few occasions where the engine's got up to temperature and then been left, I guess, for 10-15 minutes to almost a heat soak, and then I come back and then it's not been starting. Revs go up while cranking, so that is implying that the crank sensor is fine, but it's not finding the synchronization from the cam, so then it's not even attempting to fire the coils or injectors. I have had the laptop on me once when it wouldn't start, and I was looking at the live data in the EMU Black at the time, and it wasn't getting as far as synchronizing. So again, it was picking up revs, which is from the crank, but no synchronization from the cam, so that's why it wasn't starting. If you do have a non-start issue and you're not getting any revs up here, then that's likely the crank sensor. And if either one of those fails while you're driving, it's likely that the engine can just stop altogether right when you don't want it to. So if you get this code, or if this is starting to happen to you, get the sensor done before you have an accident, because I've had a few near misses before. Yeah. Right, let's get to the engine bay. I'm going to get the sensor done, clear the code, go for a little drive, get it up to temperature, come back, leave it, and try and simulate the couple of times when it's failed on me, and hopefully it'll be better. So yeah, let's go. Oh, and also, I've mentioned this stuff before, but Nissan Data Scan version 2, if you own one of these cars, you really need to get this piece of software. You just need a USB to OBD, like a VAGCOM cable, to interface with the car. It doesn't say that it's supported on the website, but it is, and you can scan all the different modules, so engine, body, trans, ABS, SRS, and the ECMD is for diesel, so we don't need that, but highly recommend it. You can see codes, live data, data log, and I feel that that's kind of essential for trying to keep one of these things ticking. Right, actually managed to get that out without taking too much apart. It is, you can see the sensor there, and that green plug, and that is down there, sorry, down there, 10mm. I had to get to it with a small ratchet and a bar, cracked it, then got the bolt out by hand, and then managed to wiggle to get the whole sensor out. Pretty tight down there, especially because of the coolant mod. That is a bit in the way, so yeah, don't know what I can do about that. Nothing today because I'm not taking it apart, I'm just getting the sensor in. But at least now I can put the new sensor in, disconnect this thing because it's quite hard to do. There is a tab, I've mentioned it in another video. I can turn it round. There is a tab on that side of the connector, and you need to push that down towards the sensor until it clicks, and then it comes out fine. And then when you push it in on the new one, it will snap shut and holds it nice and tight. But it's quite tricky to do down there with everything else in the way, but it's easier to snap it back in. So I'm going to put the new sensor in. Also, while I'm here, I'm just going to nip up, I'm a little bit oozy back here, so I'm going to nip up the 10mm on the corner of the rocker cover in the hope that that might tighten up that. So yeah, all good, didn't have to dismantle everything. Watch this space. Right, let's try that again. We got pretty close, dropped it, got it stuck in the valley, then knocked it, it fell down, got stuck in the heat shield, jacked it up, got my hand in, got it out, so happy days. So yeah, gonna have another go. I've got this up out there, might help get my hand in and around there, trying to avoid taking out the throttle body. I'm just being lazy today, but that has already stitched me up once, so we'll see how we get on with this. Okay, so I got it in once. I had one arm coming sort of down there and then the other arm from there. Pretty intimate, elbow deep from both directions. Felt a bit loose in there, so just put a bead. I'm going to tidy this up before I go put it in there, but just put a bead of silicone. I have had a bit of a phantom leak, like ever so slight burning oil smell, and I reckon it might actually have been coming from there. So just going to add a little bit of black silicone or RTV or whatever, just to give it a bit more of a seal. I've also put on, I couldn't find a shorter bolt, I can't be bothered to cut it, and just put another washer on there just to stack it out a little bit more so that it's pulling it in further, so hopefully that might help as well. So hopefully all good. So yep, let's get back up top and get this thing in. Alright, nailed it. That was intimate. I have shed blood. So yeah, all back in. Everything that I've done undone, everything that I had undone is also back connected. Gonna start it up now. Just make sure that's all good. I'm gonna nip up those rocker cover ones, like I said. Stop for lunch and then go for a little test drive later on. Okay, back from a little rip. It is the next day. I got a bit distracted yesterday afternoon building dens and playing Minecraft with my lad. Gonna do some tests now really. Obviously it's starting fine, but the problem I was getting was when it was warm. There is one table which I've been messing with, and I have been having problems with starting for a while, and I was increasing this, where are we? I was increasing this each time, bringing it nearer. This is prime pulse, so this is the amount of fuel or the duration of time that the injector's open for, just as a pulse as soon as it sees the crank signal. And when you're tuning a cold start, this is the thing which you're playing with to get it to go bum, 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 bum. If it's just cranking and cranking and cranking, you need more fuel. Now, I was having problems for a little while, and it could all have been linked to the cam sensor, but I don't know. And I was bringing this up and up and up so that it was almost level and not getting anywhere. So then I just took loads of fuel out, and it worked straight away. So I think that this is okay, but if in a second when I try and start it, it doesn't start, this is the first thing that I'm going to come to, because I now know that the cam sensor's good. So just going to make permanent. I've done a few little changes since, so let's give it its first try. A little bit of a cough, but interesting. So let's take a bit more fuel out of here, I reckon, and see what that does. Okay, so that was healthy, that's okay. Right, I'm going to leave it for 5 minutes, come back, try and start it, leave it for 10 minutes, come back, try and start it, leave it for 15, etc, etc, and just see. So I probably won't film all of those unless I come across a problem in the meantime, but that will simulate me stopping in at the shop or stopping and waiting and those are the few times where it's not started once it's been up to temp and then left for a little bit. So let's give those tests a go and we'll go from there. Right, I'm calling it case closed. I tried it after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and about 25-30 minutes, and it's all happy now. So that confirms that the crank sensor isn't wigging out, and that's also confirms that the numbers in my prime pulse table, which I just showed you, are all good. One thing I have picked up on while testing this evening is the intake air temp's really high, so that shows that the engine has got a bit of heat soak, and that was good for me to actually be able to tune or have a play with this table to try and sort that out, because at first it was running really lean. So my first thing to do was to chuck loads of fuel in, and then I was putting in numbers down here which are way off of what they've ever been. So control Z'd a few times, clocked that the IAT was, at the time it was in the 60s, and normally while driving this is around 30 degrees. Doesn't matter what the weather's like outside, it seems to be efficient enough to stay at around about 30. So the fact that this was high made me think, I've got a table for that somewhere, and this is the intake air temp fueling correction. So I've chucked in like another 6% at 50 and approximately 10% in the hotter temperatures, and this is purely on intake air temp, and it's just to make it a little bit more richer. So I'm going to keep an eye on that one and fine tune that if I need to a little bit more. One thing I forgot to mention in the last video, I just wanted to say a real big congratulations to my homeboy Marco. Marco lives in Czech Republic. He's, long story, but he's finally installed a Link ECU, which he's owned a Link for longer than I've owned mine, but through various problems it took a while to get it into the car. A couple of weeks ago we did a remote session through TeamViewer, tidied up his base map, or at least made it a bit safer to be used for a first crank, and then tested all the outputs which were connected. Very similar plug and play harness, although slightly different configuration with throttle bodies, etc. Anyway, we got it started, got it idling real nice, and that should be ready for the dyno soon. So big congratulations, dude. Looking forward to seeing the numbers. We've got very similar setups in ours, in our cars, although he's running a impulse turbo, intense turbo, I think, whereas mine's a hyper gear, so that's the only major difference, but both cars are on gas. Very similar setups, so yeah, looking forward to seeing how that goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. A bit of an ad hoc one this time, and I know I said I wasn't going to film it, but I thought, hey, why not? Thank you for everyone who's watching the videos and liking, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Those numbers seem to be going up relatively steady, or at least get a couple more each month. So yeah, take care. Don't know when the next video will be, because got waiting on a few parts, but it might well be installing the installing the fuel pressure regulator into this thing when that turns up, because that's my main priority. Or if I get really keen, it might be swapping suspension between micros. So watch this space. I'll catch you soon.